The phone call came at 2:47 p.m. on a Tuesday that had started like any other. I was reviewing contracts at my home office when my cell rang, displaying the number for First National Bank's fraud department. Ms. Martinez? This is Kevin from First National Bank Security. We've detected an unusual login attempt on your daughter's education savings account. Someone tried to access it from an IP address in Atlantic City. Were you attempting to log in? My blood turned to ice. No, I wasn't. The attempt was made using the correct username and password, but our system flagged it due to the unusual location and the attempted transfer amount. They tried to move $30,000 to an external account. I gripped the phone tighter. Was the transfer successful? No, ma'am. Your additional security protocols blocked it. The dual authentication and transfer limits you set up last year required a verification call to your registered number. When we couldn't reach you at the first attempt, the system locked the account. Thank God for my paranoia. After my divorce 3 years ago, I'd become obsessive about financial security. Every account had alerts, verification requirements, and transfer limits. My ex-husband's gambling addiction had taught me hard lessons about protecting assets. Can you tell me anything about who tried to access it? The login came from the Borgata Casino in Atlantic City. The destination account belongs to a Derek Castellano. Do you know this person? Derek. My stomach dropped. That was Jessica's boyfriend's name. Jessica, my best friend since college. Jessica, who I'd trusted with everything, including the backup access information to Emma's college fund in case something happened to me. I might. Please freeze the account immediately. I'll be at the bank within an hour. Already done, Ms. Martinez. We'll need you to file a formal fraud report and reset all security credentials. I hung up and immediately called up the security app on my phone. After the divorce, I'd installed cameras throughout the house. Another paranoia that was about to pay off. I scrolled back through the footage from last week when Jessica had been over for our regular Friday wine night. There she was, in my home office while I was in the bathroom. The camera clearly showed her photographing documents on my desk. Documents I'd left out while reviewing Emma's college fund statements. She'd been quick, professional almost, like she'd planned it. But that wasn't what made me want to throw up. It was the phone call she made immediately after, caught perfectly on audio. Got it, baby, she'd said. The account number, routing number, even her security questions. She keeps everything in a file labeled Emma College Fund. The password was on a sticky note in the drawer, her daughter's birthday backwards. She'll never notice $30,000 missing from a $120,000 fund. She trusts me completely. Derek's voice was audible through her phone speaker. You sure about this, Jess? That's her kid's college money. She makes 6 figures at that law firm. She can replace it. Besides, after all I've done for her, listening to her cry about her ex, babysitting Emma, being her emotional support for 20 years, she owes me. And once you win big with this stake money, we'll put it back with interest. 20 years. 20 years of friendship reduced to a dollar amount she thought I owed her. 20 years of trust weaponized against my daughter's future. I sat in my office, rage and heartbreak warring in my chest. But this wasn't the time for emotions. This was the time for the cold, calculated thinking that had gotten me through my divorce and built my career. First, I called my assistant at the firm. Cancel my afternoon meetings. I have a personal emergency. Next, I gathered every piece of evidence. The bank's fraud alert, the security footage, screenshots of Jessica's social media showing her and Derek in Atlantic City that very day, posting about their lucky night ahead. Then I made the hardest call. Hi, sweetie, I said when Emma answered. How's school? Good. Aunt Jess texted saying she might visit this weekend. Can she stay with us? Aunt Jess. My 15-year-old daughter called my betrayer aunt. We'll talk about it when you get home. Love you. By the time I reached the bank, I'd formulated my plan. Jessica thought she knew me, the grieving divorcee who cried on her shoulder, who needed her support. She didn't know the woman who'd rebuilt her life from scratch, who'd clawed her way to senior associate at one of the city's toughest law firms. Kevin from the fraud department was thorough and professional. We filed reports, changed every password, and added even more security layers. The attempted theft was documented, recorded, and would be investigated by both the bank and law enforcement. Ms. Martinez, Kevin said as we finished, given the evidence you've provided, this is clearly a case of identity theft and attempted wire fraud. The perpetrators could face serious federal charges. I'm counting on it, I replied. Back home, I had 2 hours before Emma returned from school. 2 hours to decide how to handle this betrayal. Part of me wanted to call Jessica immediately, to scream and rage and demand answers. But that wasn't strategic. That wasn't smart. Instead, I called my colleague who specialized in criminal law. "Hey, Patricia. I need a consultation. Personal matter." An hour later, I had a clear legal strategy. The evidence was overwhelming. The security footage, the bank records, the digital trail, it all pointed to conspiracy to commit wire fraud, a federal crime with up to 20 years in prison. My phone rang. "Jessica." "Hey girl." Her voice was bright, normal, as if she hadn't just tried to rob my daughter's future. "Just wanted to check in. How's your day going?" The audacity was breathtaking. She was calling to establish normalcy, to make sure I hadn't noticed anything unusual. I forced myself to match her tone. "Oh, typical Tuesday. Contracts and coffee. You?" "Derek and I are taking a little trip to AC. Spontaneous romantic getaway." "How nice," I said, documenting her admission that she was in Atlantic City. "Well, have fun. Win big. That's the plan. Hey, are we still on for Friday? Wine and movies." "Wouldn't miss it," I lied smoothly. "My place at 7? Perfect. Love you, bestie." I hung up before I could vomit. Bestie. She tried to steal my daughter's college fund and still had the nerve to call me bestie. The next 3 days were torture. I went to work, maintained normal text conversations with Jessica, and helped Emma with homework, all while working with law enforcement to build an airtight case. The FBI got involved once the interstate wire fraud element became clear. Turns out Derek had a history: gambling debts to dangerous people, previous fraud attempts, and an outstanding warrant in New Jersey. Jessica, though, was the real surprise. The investigation revealed she'd been living far beyond her means for years, financing a lifestyle she couldn't afford while drowning in credit card debt. The image she'd presented, successful marketing manager, financially stable, was a carefully constructed lie. She'd been desperate, and Derek had been the pressure point that finally made her crack. Friday arrived. I'd arranged everything perfectly. Emma was at a sleepover. The FBI agents were stationed outside. Patricia, my lawyer colleague, was on standby. And I had one final piece of technology in place: a wire I was wearing to record our last conversation. Jessica arrived at 7:15, 15 minutes late as always, carrying a bottle of wine and wearing a designer dress she probably couldn't afford. "Sorry I'm late," she chirped, hugging me like she hadn't tried to destroy my daughter's future. "Traffic was insane. You look stressed. Everything okay?" I poured the wine, only for her. I needed to stay sharp, and settled on the couch. "Actually, something weird happened this week." Her hand paused minutely on her glass. "Oh, the bank called. Someone tried to access Emma's college fund from Atlantic City. Can you believe that?" Jessica's face cycled through emotions: surprise, concern, confusion. She was good. If I hadn't seen the security footage, I might have believed her performance. "That's terrible. Did they get anything?" "No, thank God. I had all these security measures in place. Whoever it was tried to transfer $30,000. $30,000? Her voice cracked slightly. That's so specific. Inside job, maybe." I leaned forward. "That's what I thought too." So I checked my security cameras. The wine glass shook in her hand. "You have security cameras?" "Oh yes. Everywhere. Really good ones too. Audio and video. Crystal clear. Want to see something interesting?" I pulled out my phone and played the footage of her in my office, photographing my documents, making the call to Derek. Her face went white, then red, then white again. "I can explain." "Can you? Can you explain why my best friend of 20 years tried to steal my daughter's college fund? Can you explain why you gave my banking information to your gambling addict boyfriend? Can you explain why you thought Emma's future was worth less than Derek's poker debt? You don't understand." Jessica burst out, tears streaming. "They were going to hurt him. He owes money to dangerous people. I was desperate. And you have so much. Your job, your house, your perfect daughter. I just needed a loan." "A loan? You tried to steal $30,000 from a 15-year-old's college fund. I was going to pay it back. Derek had a system, a sure thing." "A sure thing? At a casino?" I laughed bitterly. "The only sure thing at a casino is that the house always wins. Just like the only sure thing in fraud is that you eventually get caught." Jessica's tears turned to anger. "Easy for you to judge. You with your 6-figure salary and your perfect life. You don't know what it's like to struggle, to watch everyone else succeed while you drown. 20 years I've been your friend. 20 years of listening to your problems, supporting you through your divorce, being there whenever you needed me. Didn't that earn me anything? It earned you my trust, which you threw away for $30,000. I was drowning, she screamed. Credit cards maxed out, rent overdue, Derek in danger. And you wouldn't have even missed it. Just another line item in your perfect portfolio. You're right, I said quietly. I probably could have absorbed the loss. Eventually, after working extra hours, taking on more cases, sacrificing time with Emma. But that's not the point. The point is you tried to steal from my child. You looked at my daughter, who calls you Aunt Jess, who loves you, and you decided her education was worth less than your boyfriend's gambling debts. I'm sorry, Jessica sobbed. I'm so sorry. Please don't do this. I'll pay it back. Every penny. Just please. A knock at the door interrupted her. I stood up, suddenly exhausted. It's too late for sorry, Jess. I opened the door to 2 FBI agents. Agents, this is Jessica Holbrook. She's all yours. The look of shock and betrayal on Jessica's face as they read her rights was almost painful to witness. Almost. You called the FBI? Lena, please. I'm your best friend. No, I said firmly. My best friend died the moment she tried to steal from my daughter. You're just a criminal who knew too much about my life. As they led her away, she turned back one last time. I loved you like a sister. I know, I replied. That's what makes this unforgivable. The aftermath was swift and devastating. Derek was arrested at the casino, caught with marked bills from an illegal gambling operation. The investigation uncovered a deeper web of fraud. Jessica had been skimming from her employer, taking kickbacks from vendors, living a lie that required ever-increasing criminal acts to maintain. She pled guilty to avoid trial, receiving 3 years in federal prison. Derek got 5. The marketing firm she worked for pressed additional charges. Her reputation, career, and freedom, all destroyed for a desperate bet that I wouldn't notice $30,000 missing. The hardest part was explaining to Emma why Aunt Jess wouldn't be coming around anymore. I kept it simple. Sometimes people we trust make terrible choices, and we have to protect ourselves even when it hurts. But she was family, Emma said, tears in her eyes. No, baby. Family protects each other. Family doesn't steal from children. Real family is chosen by actions, not by time. 6 months later, I received a letter from federal prison. Jessica's handwriting, once so familiar from 20 years of birthday cards and shared notes, looked shaky. Lena, I know you'll probably throw this away unread, but I had to try. I've had a lot of time to think in here. You were right. There's no excuse for what I did. I let jealousy and desperation turn me into someone I don't recognize. Someone who could look at Emma's baby pictures on your desk while stealing her future. I don't expect forgiveness. I don't deserve it. I just wanted you to know that I understand now. The trust you gave me was priceless, and I sold it for casino chips. Take care of Emma. Tell her I'm sorry. Jay. I did read it. Every word. Then I filed it with the rest of the evidence. A reminder that trust is earned in drops and lost in buckets. That desperation can make monsters of anyone. That the people who claim to love you can hurt you the worst. Emma's college fund recovered and grew. I added more security measures, more paranoia, more walls. Some might call it excessive. I call it parenting. At Emma's high school graduation 3 years later, I watched her walk across that stage knowing her college was fully funded, her future secure. The empty seat where Jessica would have sat was a reminder of the price of betrayal, but also of the value of vigilance. That night, Emma hugged me tight. Thank you for protecting my future, Mom. Even when it hurt. Always, baby. Always. Because that's what real love looks like. Not 20 years of friendship that crumbles at the first test, but the fierce protection of those who depend on you. Jessica thought she knew me completely. She was wrong. She knew the grieving divorcee, the overwhelmed single mom, the friend who needed support. She never knew the mother who would burn down the world to protect her daughter's dreams. And in the end, that's the only identity that mattered. Thanks for watching. See you again in the next video. Stay stunned.